We have the pleasure of having with us today Congresswoman Betty McCollum, a Democrat from the state of Minnesota. Welcome to A Woman's World.
Oh, it's good to be here.
The issue of child marriage is something that's obviously very close to your heart. And in fact, you've introduced a bill to prevent girls in developing countries from getting involved with child marriages. Can you explain child marriage as within the context of the bill, and also tell us a little bit about the bill?
Well, a child marriage is something that I feel passionate about, but you know, women all around the world do, and so do a lot of men, and the proof of that is that if you look at a lot of the discussions that take place in the UN about human rights, the whole idea of child marriage, young girls ages 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, being forced into marriage, which means that they'll be forced into sexual activity before their bodies are ready to handle it. But the whole idea of the mental anguish, let alone just what happens physically to these young girls when it's forcible rape. So the mental, emotional, and physical toll it takes on these young girls is just something that speaks out to a human rights issue.
Would you say it's fair to say that forced marriage goes hand in hand with this?
Right, and so I believe that marriage should be entered into when a person is able to make their own choice. And most nations, most cultures, if you really look into the way that they handle informal and formal contract law, age of majority becomes around 18. So the age in which a young woman should be making a decision as to who she wants to enter this type of relationship begs to the age of 18.
What about the issue of enforcement? As you know, a country like Afghanistan, the legal marriage age is 16, and yet, according to your website, 57% of marriages involve girls younger than 16. So how would your bill address the issue of enforcement?
What the United States needs to do with other nations and countries such as Afghanistan, Ethiopia, which is trying to address the problem, Yemen, which is concerned about the problem and speaking with the ambassador from Yemen, is what's making this happen. The underlying reason why young girls are forced into these marriages is poverty. They are seen as property exchanges. And so we need to have a strategy, I believe, in where we can address child marriage when we address the United States going in and working on the issue of poverty.
What are some of the other countries where child marriages is practiced?
Well, there's problems throughout the world on this. There's challenges in North Africa, there's challenges in South Africa, there's challenges in the Middle East. There's still some challenges presenting themselves in Latin American countries as well as Asian countries. But poverty is the underlying factor on that. And this just isn't about any one faith group either. There's a problem with people who practice many faiths being faced with certain countries, whether it's a Muslim country, whether it's a Christian country. In Ethiopia, this is practiced in very poor rural areas where there's Christianity. In India, we see it in areas where the Hindu faith is there. So we need to find out a way to support those religious leaders of faiths of all types who really want to do something about this issue. They know it's a poverty issue. So how do we work with the faith community, with the NGO community, with the international community to stop these forced marriages, save girls' lives, and at the same time reduce poverty?
How much support are you getting for this bill?
Well, we have had overwhelming interest in many NGO communities who know that if they're going to address poverty, they need to keep young girls in school. So they see this as a way of discussing with communities. You know, if your girls stay in school, they do better, the family does better, your community does better, your country does better lifting out of poverty.
And where does the bill stand right now?
Well, we're going to be moving forward and talking to the chairman, Tom Lantos, here about having a hearing in the committee. It might go through the subcommittee arena. We don't know which track they're going to take yet, but there's great interest from both sides of the aisle about doing what's in the best interest of children, especially girl children in very poor countries where families find themselves with very few options. We need to take the option of child marriage off the table as a way of families to see themselves being able to reduce their lot in life when it comes to poverty. So I'm excited about those discussions. Senator Durbin has it in the Senate along with Senator Hagel, so it has bipartisan support, and it's a bill that has support in both chambers. And I think we can get the President's interest on this as well.
That's terrific. Well, I'm sure it's an issue we'll be hearing about much more in the coming months. Good luck to you with the bill. Thank you for taking the time to sit with us.
Thank you, and we need the help of the women all around the world who are listening to this conversation to do something to help their fellow sisters.